Hello, YouTube viewers. This is Kristin from KristinCoaching.com, as you may or may not know. And thanks again for watching this video today. We're going to be discussing something really important, and that has to do with the signs of infidelity, or the possible signs of infidelity. The reason I say possible is because we're going to be going over some signs that your other half could be cheating on you. But this isn't a guarantee. There is no definitive signs that absolutely say, yes, my partner is cheating. I know it 100%. Unless you catch them in the act, there's no way to really know 100%. But there are indications and there are signs. And so we're going to be talking about those because it's important to be realistic about it, not be lying to yourself that things are not happening when they are. And it's just important to be honest. Before we even get into the specific signs, I want to say first off that if you are worried that your significant other is cheating, like if you have a feeling, that's huge. And I think trusting your gut is really important. You know, unless you have a history of if you have a history of not believing partners in the past and thinking every single person has cheated on you when they actually haven't, I mean, that's completely different. But if you've been in healthy relationships and you haven't thought that cheating has happened, but you're in this relationship and you're thinking that your partner could be straying, I want you to trust your gut on that, because gut instincts are really important. And they tell you a lot. And I think a lot of people ignore those warning signs. So I just want to validate for you that if you have a gut reaction, most likely you have a reason to be worried, okay? So let's talk about some signs or indications that your partner could be cheating, and we'll go from there. And I want to tell you there's so many more signs than what we're going to be covering, but these are pretty general gamut of what you might be experiencing or noticing, and just see if these are real for you. So pretty much, I think a huge possible sign your significant other could be cheating is if all of a sudden they are protective of their cell phone. You know, maybe they're on their cell phones a lot. Maybe they're really protective of it. They don't want you to see what they're texting. They don't want you to hear who they're talking to. Just kind of being secretive of the communication that they are having with somebody else, right? Whoever it is. But feeling a shift of being protective with the cell phone is a big indication that something could be wrong. Also, along that category, if your partner refuses to give you the passwords to their cell phone or any types of social media accounts for whatever reason, that could be a sign that they could be hiding something as well, you know, especially if you're willing to give your password out, but they're not willing to give theirs. That could be a problem. So if you're not knowing your partner's passwords, or they're being really secretive about the passwords, maybe they're changing the passwords, that could be a sign. So just something to think about. Also, a lot of times sex routines can be different, and usually maybe not having as much sex in the relationship could be a sign that something is wrong. So maybe you were having a lot of sex and then all of a sudden it's been really not affectionate and not having sex hardly ever, could be an indication. There could also be more emotional implications that are going on in your relationship. So I don't want you to just jump to the conclusion that your partner might be cheating, but, you know, not having as much sex, you know, kind of suddenly, could be an indicator. Also, maybe if your partner all of a sudden wants to try these different things with you in the bedroom, sometimes that could be an indicator too. Now, I think, you know, in any relationships, some people want to try different things and they want to explore totally without cheating and being unfaithful. But, you know, if it feels like if it's out of the blue, or if there's a lot of pressure to do it, or I don't know, just there's a feeling that you get when maybe your partner is doing new things or trying new things. So it's just something to pay attention to. Could be a possible indicator. Also, if your partner is maybe dressing differently, maybe wearing certain perfumes or colognes, or just changing their appearance. A lot of times people maybe going to the gym more and working out more to look good for other people could absolutely be a sign that your partner is being unfaithful. Also, if your other half is just a lot more emotionally distant lately, you're not talking to your partner as much about deep things, they just seem really distracted and just not as into that one-on-one time with you or talking to you as much, and you're just feeling like, you know, they're just somewhere else in the relationship emotionally when you are spending time with that person, that can absolutely be an indicator. Emotional distance is a really big deal and does happen when people are, you know, maybe having affairs or cheating outside of the relationship. Also, sometimes when people cheat, you know, they feel really bad about themselves, but it gets kind of redirected through making rude comments towards their partner. So if you're getting rude comments from your significant other that are kind of random and rude, you know, that could be a sign that they feel guilty and they're just kind of throwing it at you in a rude way. So just rude comments kind of come about definitely when one person is straying. So just to be aware of that. Also, and this is a huge indicator, if you're finding contraceptives that you don't use with your significant other, that's a huge sign that that person's being unfaithful. Yes, that person, you know, your other half can have excuses of why those contraceptives are there. A common one is if maybe you guys don't use condoms, but you found maybe a condom in your partner's purse or your partner's bedroom drawer or his area, wherever it is. Usually that's a really bad sign because you guys aren't using anything. There's really no need to have contraceptives, whatever the reason is that your partner has a contraceptive. It's just a really big red flag that I think a lot of people ignore. So I want to talk to you about that, and because that's a big deal. So if you're not using certain contraceptives, but you find them that your partner has them, red flag. Also, if your partner is getting calls from unknown numbers and you don't know who it is, and it's a lot of unknown numbers, or maybe certain names in their phones that you don't recognize, could possibly be a sign as well. Also, if your partner is working longer hours, right? Because if you're going to be cheating, if you're going to be unfaithful, your partner needs time to do that somewhere. So usually it falls along the lines of the excuse of, I need to work late, I need to work overtime. In reality, that they're really not doing that. So if they're spending more and more time at work, that's kind of a classic sign of being unfaithful. The last thing, and this is actually an important one, you know, again, a lot of times when people cheat, they feel really guilty about it. So they'll project what they're doing onto you, meaning they're going to be accusing you of cheating. So if your partner all of a sudden is accusing you of cheating and you have not been doing anything differently, or you haven't been doing anything wrong, and you feel like that type of an accusation is completely out of the blue, sometimes that's a sign that your other half is doing that. Because again, they feel really bad, they feel guilty about it. So they think that you're doing the same thing and they're trying to start a fight. They're trying to figure out a way to maybe break up with you, possibly. So to be accusing you of cheating is a really classic sign of infidelity. So these are 10 signs of being, of possibly being unfaithful. Again, this is not it's not a guarantee that it's happening, but they are red flags and just something to pay attention to in your relationship. I would hate that infidelity is happening and one person being just completely oblivious to it. We have to be realistic of what's going on in our relationship, even if a partner isn't being honest with us about it. You have your intuition, you have your smarts, you have your wherewithal. You are aware of what's going on around you and in your relationship. So trust yourself. And if you think that these things are happening, I think it's important to have a dialogue about with your significant other about it. You know, I don't think yelling and screaming and having that type of a confrontation is not healthy, but a calm engagement of what's going on, what your concerns are, and really getting down to the root of it. Because if your significant other is cheating on you, or if you're cheating on your significant other, obviously that's a sign that you guys are not in a healthy place and it needs to be addressed before it gets any further. So I wish you guys the best on this endeavor. I know it's a hard situation to be in, but you guys will get through it if you talk about it, and ignoring it is not going to help. So hopefully these tips were helpful for you. Feel free to give me any comments below, ask me any questions. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Subscribe to my YouTube page if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time for my next video. Thanks for joining.